Hello all, and welcome to another episode of the Market Pulse presented by Smart Touch. I'm your host, Aaron Fischera, and today I have a very special guest with us, the founder and CEO of Anewgo, John Lee. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Aaron. I've been excited to talk to you on this show because, we can talk a little bit of tech, but, we can also talk from a marketing and sales perspective of how tech is finally going to impact our industry in a very exciting, if not disruptive way. So looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, John, you've been one of the main disruptors for, those that don't know Anewgo. You not only offer renderings and content and visualizations, but expand into like an all-in-one platform for sales and marketing, interactive media, interactive websites that are just out of this world. And before we kind of go into that technology and that disruption, I always like to ask, what made you get into this field? What made you think, I want to really shake up new home sales?
This kind of dates me a little bit, but back in 1999, I was working for a Fortune 100 company in corporate finance. And then I got this calling to go out to Silicon Valley because all these tech hotshot whiz kids were coming up with all these ideas, but they needed somebody to raise money and then needed somebody to manage their money. So I said, hey, why not? I'm still young myself. So I went out there and wow, did I see the light. They're moving at warp speed out there. Every conversation it's not about how to beat my competition. It's about how to take over the world. And so I helped them raise $9 million. And that was the dawn of the internet. And I saw how it was going to change the world. Everybody else just says, why do we even need this in this world? But everything was great. But then in 2001, the dot-com crash.
Yeah.
And my $9 million didn't last that long because there's this other competitor of ours. You may know them, Google. They had raised like $90 million. So they were able to ride.
I've heard of them.
Downturn.
Yeah.
And here we are again, 2025. And I'm still sitting side by side with Google. And Google is now changing the world again with Gemini and AI, along with all his other AI friends. So that's how I kind of started, but the game's not over.
Well, I know kind of the crux of our conversation is going to be how that pendulum changes. Because, back then Google was a disruptor, but now with AI, that FANG, that market share that's held by that exclusive club, especially Google, is being threatened by this new and innovative technology.
Yeah. The interesting about Google is they probably put a lot of money and time, even before ChatGPT, into AI. But because they monopolized the market, this is where business meets tech in a sense. Why they had a stranglehold on the industry. Why disrupt yourself is kind of an innovator's dilemma. Well, then in 2022, out of nowhere, this little company, ChatGPT, which only been around since like 2016, finally introduced ChatGPT. And I think the adoption rate was faster than any other technology, even though it was so revolutionary. And that kind of woke Google up, and they kind of had to dust off all their technology.
They had a little bit of a stumble. Yeah.
Right. And since then, other AIs have joined the party with Claude and Grok and Meta. And so basically every dominating marketing platform out there, from, social media, like Meta and Facebook, to commerce like Amazon, they have Claude, and to search engines. And now you got even new ones like Perplexity coming in there. Mm-hmm. So everybody is going to disrupt the old marketing platforms. They're basically taking everything that was dumb, if you want to call it that. I don't mean that in an insulting way, but it was only smart in the sense that it connected people, helped with communications. But that was human to human, and it relied on humans to do all the work, to now smart, where AI intelligence has learned from all our humans, since we trained them.
Yeah.
And that's why it's called GPT.
When
I use the term GPT, it's generative pre-trained transformers. So they've been pre-trained on all of our activities over all these years, and now they're improving on that.
And to that improvement, we're in the timeline of Anewgo. Where did you see this AI as being kind of groundbreaking and really start incorporating kind of into the products and services?
I really started to sense that AI was going to, I've been following it, so I know there's people working on it in the background, but it probably 2017, 18, I started talking more and more about it. But actually Anewgo was actually, I guess, created in my mind back in 2011. the heart of the Great Recession. For those who've been working with us for a long time, we were known as Rendering House because we're rendering houses. We're a visualization content company. But at the height of the recession, a lot of rendering companies were getting closed down and laying off people because the builders didn't need them. And that's when I stood up in 2011, and I think everybody thought I was going to lay them off. And I said, I got a big announcement. We're going to become a software company. And everybody's like, what? I said, we're going to make a new go of it. And they're like, what? We don't know anything about software. I said, well, I came from tech. I know it's going to change the world. And if anything that happens is whoever survives the Great Recession, they're going to do things differently. And there's this thing that's called the iPhone and Amazon's coming out and all that. I said, that's what's going to change the industry and we need to get ahead of it. But I didn't change our name until Anewgo until 2020, because I had to wait for the apps to develop. I had to wait for mobile. I had to wait for cloud services. I need to wait for 5G. I need to wait for virtual tours and all these things to come to play.
Mhm.
In 2020, at the height of COVID, is when we introduced Anewgo, which is actually kind of a good time because people had to shop online. They're buying
Yeah,
remotely.
and they're changing the buyer I
Yeah,
mean,
and
you
people
saw
are
that
interested in
increase
buying
in,
online.
independent tours like U-Tour where they're just going in themselves?
Exactly. So the crazy part about my company, as much as this seems like I'm so smart, I'm actually very fortunate in that all of our big advancements and game-changing moves were all when something bad happened in the world. Is the dot-com crash, the Great Recession, COVID, and now AI is like changing everything. But those
Well,
that are able to seize that change and not be stuck to their old ways have a distinct advantage because the whole game changes. And one of the things that happened out of the 2020 conversion to Anewgo in our apps is that we were collecting data of all the customer shopping journeys, everything from the all the people and all the products that was part of that journey, all that detail. So now, 5 years later, that data is the foundation for us training our AI assistants to now know how to improve the customer journey and experience online.
that's excellent. I mean, and that kinda gets into, really, like we said, the crux of, really talking about AI and how this is disruption. Because you've got some individuals that say AI is, "Oh, it's a bubble and, it's gonna pass, it's a fad." I don't lean that way. I think it's rapidly coming.
Right.
There is that exponential growth curve. And, even the most recent updates, like we were just talking before we hopped on, you know, recently OpenAI has added Stripe payment processing to them. They've integrated more with Zillow and Canva and Drives and Dropbox and SharePoints. So, at this point, and Google's, primarily e-commerce, but, if I'm able to shop, get all access within that same browser, this is completely going to disrupt the buyer behavior. And, John, where do you see AI's developments and how's this going to transform the buyer behavior and how they search for a home?
Yeah, and not, like I said, I was in Silicon Valley, so I know those guys dream big. First of all, so and then you can follow the money from the investors, the money where they're putting their money, they're buying all these chips. I mean, part of that, OpenAI's got like a percentage equity in
Yeah,
AMD.
shit, you can even see it down the chain. I mean,
Yeah, they're
the
they're
U.S.
investing in
government
the
owning
chips.
Intel and raw earth, minerals.
Yeah, and the servers and lithium. So they're putting beyond just the AI piece. It's all the infrastructure around it, and they're moving at the speed of light in a sense. And the way that they're looking at things is everything's up for grabs. So you're seeing this evolution from search engines that were dumb and now they're smart search engines. And then they went to browsers and now those browsers are now smart browsers. Like, Perplexity introduced Comet and ChatGPT is going to do the same thing, OpenAI and Claude, and all those guys are going to do the same thing with the browsers. Now let's get into the app area. And then in the app area, there may even have like a smart app or intelligent app ecosystem, iOS, if you want to call it that, operating system. I don't want to get too technical here, but it's like the app store for Apple. So everything's going to get level up to a smart approach. But as part of that, if now the conversation channel, which is new, is now the top of the funnel or the start of the customer journey, now they're going to control how things start. And with agentic AI, Well, they use generative AI to help things get started because they can generate all that wonderful, attractive, engaging content from, text to video to visuals and even voice. So they got you hooked at the start, but with agentic AI, it can actually take you through that customer journey. So as you're talking about, including the integration with Stripe, which is for payments,
Mm.
everything from ACH, your bank transfers to credit cards to even stable coins and crypto. And then that would probably open up into blockchain for asset transfers, which would be huge. But as also OpenAI, ChatGPT, um, they also created their own DocuSign. So you can actually make um, not just consumer purchases, but service purchases or large purchases like with houses and cars.
So you're telling me the Asiatic AI is going to be able to go, okay, John's put
Yes,
in
from
an
the top of
order
the funnel and in the
and
conversation channel. So they actually call this instant checkout, but
mm,
instant checkout is while you're having AI guide you through, take me through a tour of Italy and, figure out where I'm going to stay, where I'm going to eat, what I'm going to look at and everything. And that whole customer journey, you can check out all those um, hotels, not just check them out, but actually transact in that channel. But the other thing about that, and this is where it gets back to your comment about Zillow and others, all these apps that we have to personally, manually go into and open up, or we have to, and then, click where we're going and what we're doing and then approve it and everything. I think it's going to go from us manually doing all that stuff, just like we had to manually type in keywords to go somewhere and do something, to now, instead of just a prompt, I'm going to call this a command. You remember the old days where you had a command line
yeah,
on your DOS? Well, we're going to go back to those days where we're not just prompting something. It's like, hey, it'll be nice to get something. No, I'm going to tell my I have a Zoom meeting, in an hour, and I'm move my Uber back, 2 hours, and have my pizza ready with my favorite toppings on when I get home. Have my Netflix movie, coming up. But it has to know all, and it has to know where you're at, what time zone you're in, what your favorite foods are, and all that stuff. So it has to have that intelligence, personal intelligence. But it's going to go and tap into all of those other apps and handle those tasks for you. So you don't actually have to open and coordinate it. You just make that prompt or that command, and it goes into all these, I'll call them the old traditional dumb apps, and handle all that for you. And so that all happens in your conversation channel. So what's the impact potentially for this industry? Buyers have traditionally had to go to Google and they had to type in a few keywords, new homes Raleigh or whatever, and they get hundreds of websites. And so the shopping experience is the buyers have to go, I call it search, and then research. They have to go to each website and research what's in there. And if they don't like what they saw, they have to research again. And
yeah,
so every time they do that, the journey gets longer and longer. It could be more and more frustrating. You don't know if the next search is actually your needle in the haystack or it's just another wasted search. Meanwhile, Google is just taking money left and right
yeah,
from
yeah.
every frustrating experience. So then what happens is we had portals come in. So instead of having to go and look through all these builder websites or brokerage websites to go, and they're all different experiences and different layouts, and you can't save anything, you can't compare anything. Instead of going to all these disparate sites, and they're not really a rich experience either, you go to a seller's portal, which is more like an aggregation site. So somebody like Zillow or Realtor or whatever, they bring all that content there and says, hey, instead of you going on this crazy Easter egg hunt, at least let me put all the Easter eggs in one basket for you, and then you can figure out the stripes versus the spotted ones, or yellow or purple, whatever. So you can all find it here. But now imagine now in the conversation channel there that, unlike Google, you don't need to go to a portal, an aggregation site, but it can actually pull all that content straight from MLS or straight from the builders websites right into your conversation, personally, privately, multimodally. That means in visual, text, or verbally, in multi-session, because it has memory. And then you can also bring in all those other nuances that really relate to you, which could be the size of your family or your lifestyle, or the things you like to do, and all those other things that beyond just 4 bedrooms, 3 baths or whatever, instead of just a filtering thing. Imagine you can bring all that intelligence in there and have it in multi-session conversation, because you're not going to buy the house in one sitting like a pair of shoes. You can buy it over many sittings, and you're probably going to need to have your partner, your, your co-buyer, part of that conversation. And then you still need an expert person to guide you through buying a new home, which you don't get on, say, portals unless you hire a real estate agent. You're probably going to use that AI's collective knowledge across everything it's been pre-trained on, from accounting to legal to construction, and bring all that into play. So you can see how, if AI is able to do this, don't shoot the messenger. I'm not
Yeah.
opening AI. I'm just opening some eyes. So what happens is, from the top, it's able to pull that content and then take each buyer down personal journeys, as opposed to the way it is right now. The buyer is viewed like a they're being herded. I don't want to say like pigs, goats, and sheep and everything, but in a sense, we're being herded down specific channels based on keywords, based on quizzes, like you may have in a chat bot, or based on gated content. When you register, I'll give you more. No, in this world, we speak, instead of like bots speak like us naturally. You express what your needs, wants, desires, constraints are in a private way, and it will go and extract and pull all the matching houses, options, locations, price points to you. And ideally, it does this automatically every day, so you don't even have to do this. So you have surrogate shoppers. So this way, there's no FOMO. There's no fear of missing out, because your AI is always shopping, regardless whether you're sleeping or on vacation. And it's great for the builders too, because they got,
Well, and ideally, I mean, because from what we're seeing, the research and poll, it takes, I mean, the buyers coming in with 11 weeks of research before they're coming on site.
right.
So does this reduce that 11 weeks to
Well, because
7
the
weeks?
AI can do that research in 11 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So maybe, that's the benefit, especially on the buyer's journey, that you're kind of taking this elongated due to that cumbersome process, as you're talking about, having to click and research. Okay, hey, I just got a phone call. I got to go make dinner. Well,
Right.
and
And I forgot where I was at. I mean, now I have to Google again, but now the whole deck is reshuffled. And yeah, I think for the builder, it's going to be great, because now they don't have to filter good, bad, and ugly leads. They have one AI sales agent that's servicing thousands of people simultaneously, 24/7, in multiple languages, and start wherever they left off. And it's all personalized. And now they have more curated buyers.
well, and to that point, and kind of going down that workflow path, how are we reimagining the user experience on the builder website? You what
Yes.
do how's it going to change if we're saying, hey, we can't just have static listings and just go with the old way? What do we got to do
Exactly. I
now?
mean, you think about most of these websites are pretty much unchanged for the last 20 years, except for adopting to mobile responsive design. But it's really followed the traditional format of, say, newspapers and classified ads, which, were great for indexing. That's why they call them classified. And it was great for SEO, because everything is indexed. And to have everything indexed, you need to have everything static. That's why you have a static URL or web address, just like your physical address. It has to know that you live at 123 Anywhere Street, because I'm looking for you and you better be there. And that, with the static address, you had static content. Well, the whole point of marketing in the past was really about attracting an audience with like a billboard image that said, hey, look at this beautiful house. That's not your house. That's not exactly one of the 100 design options or whatever, but it's enough to attract you, to get you to come in. Well, buyers, as they become more accustomed to shopping online, from everything from designing their shoes to designing their car,
Yeah.
they're expecting to be able to do this on their own. They feel
Well,
comfortable doing it on their own.
I mean, do you think this is going to turn into something like Minority Report? I don't know if you remember this. Oh, yeah, this one where Tom
Yes, in
Cruise
a
is walking
sense.
through, and the billboard changes because it says, "Oh, this is a gentleman of this, and this is an advertisement geared towards it." I
Exactly.
mean, is that where websites going to be?
I
Of just
think the more intelligence, I mean, it all depends on your data and your content. AI is dumb as a doorknob without the data,
yeah.
or it could hallucinate if it's missing data. Let's put it that way, because it's going to look outside of you. It's going to look at others
Well,
around
and
you.
it's very good with large sets of data, but when there's less
Right.
sets of data, like
And if
humans,
it's
doesn't
been
want to make an.
pre-trained, it's been pre-trained on what you learned during that time. Just like your college education was when you graduated. It wasn't
Yeah.
like what they're teaching right now.
No.
But you need to bring in your work experience, which enhanced it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, for real AI intelligence to mirror what humans can do, it needs to have both that general knowledge, which has been pre-trained on, and it's, I would argue, smarter than anybody on the planet in that respect, because it's searched across the entire web and it's digested and thought about that for many years. But what is lacking is, you know, what is today's weather report, or who won the game last night, or whatever. So it still needs that search engine piece. So it needs long-term memory, long-term or general knowledge, but it also needs, you know, current event stuff. So it needs to work in concert. If you want to say SEO, AEO, it still needs to work in concert with a search engine, a smart search engine. Um, Together, if you can bring both those things together, now as the buyer is shopping, it knows that when it's getting your pricing, it's getting the current pricing from the builder. It's getting the current interest rate to calculate the monthly payment. But it also knows, you know, what is FHA loan types versus, you know, Fannie Mae or whatever, and you
Yeah.
know, what is a septic tank, and all those kind of issues that are more general knowledge.
Excellent. Well, you know, for those that are listening, our audience being, you know, marketers, builders, developers, what would you suggest to them when it comes to their website? I mean, I mean, of course, whoever's listening is saying, okay, how do I make my website AI proof? How do I make sure that I'm just as, you know, how do I get to, you know, lines, you know, space zero on Google? I want to be on page one. Everybody asks, how do I get on Copilot's recommendation? How do I get on OpenAI's? This is my response to your inquiry.
I'm
Um,
kind of saying this half jokingly, but hopefully to help you remember. Go have an IPA. And the reason I say IPA is the first thing about what you should do for your business or your platform, set up the infrastructure. And that infrastructure is all about data. So if you don't have any data, you have nothing for it to crawl in anyway. So that data needs to be created. It needs to be structured in a way. And some people talk about it, you know, schema markups, data structuring, or data tagging. You know, maybe your images need to be said, hey, that's even though we call it Barbie house, it's actually a craftsman or whatever. So, you know, because otherwise the AI is going to pull back to what its reference, what its general knowledge is, and says, "Oh, that says Barbie, so it must want to be pink. And we should show it in pink." Or you need to kind of help define it so it doesn't hallucinate. So yeah, there's the data structure, and then you need to data train it. Just because you have all of the data laid out there, you need to train it on how to put it all together. So that's all part of the infrastructure piece. I don't know if all the markers can do all those things, but at least need to get the data collected. And when I say the data collected, I don't mean just high level. It needs to be very granular, very detailed, things that would resonate to the general public, but also to each unique audience that you may specialize in, because your difference may make all the difference, especially if you're small. So set that up at the granular level and be able to, and that's where it's going to feed on. Because if you don't have that level of data, doesn't matter what other channels you're going to put on later on, is still the same boring, wrong data. The next thing is the platform. So that's kind of stuff that we start to build. Is we're building this ecosystem. So you want to make sure that your data is not isolated, segregated. Um, it needs to have this balance of being available for AI to find and search and capture, but it also needs to be also private and secure for you, because you don't want, there's some stuff you don't want to put out there to the world. So there may be a little bit of segregation, but if you have a data warehouse or a system that is really built on gated content, you're not just, you're actually gating AI as well as humans, and AI is not going to fill out a registration form. It's going to just, you know, go right past it, or may not, especially if it's like an iframe, we may not even know it.
Oh, or
Or
if you have a special promotional offer that would actually get you hey, you know, you're
right,
Asiatic, but no, you got to give your information, and then we'll give you give you
right.
the
So
incentive, which
right
is
now it's a
the old
hundred
way.
percent. Well, right now right now the markers are serving 100% human eyes and human shoppers. So everything is built upon beautiful fonts, legible fonts, nice colors, filters, buttons, links, and all these kind of things, and keywords and all this kind of stuff. But more and more, as we move toward AI doing the shopping for us, like we've done with Uber, like we've done with GPS, driver's assistant, as more and more AI is doing the shopping, that's where it gets back to your data structure. AI doesn't care about your legible fonts because you're farsighted or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't care about your favorite colors and your font and your logos and things like that. It's going to look in there and can I find what I'm looking for? If not, I'm moving on. So that data needs to be for AI's eyes as well as human eyes, because at some point, if the AI has found the perfect home, when the human eyes come, your site better be attractive to them. But that data, well, without getting into a lot of the tech part, a lot of the data needs to also be vectorized. I don't know how to say, but then there's relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And because AI is looking at patterns and they're saying, hey, if you get this, you may also like this, or this is related to that, which is good because if you want to cross sell, upsell, relate to people's cultures and life stages, it needs to say that this house is just as attractive for a newlywed couple with a baby as a retiree couple.
Yep.
But it has to have a different message. But it needs to show at least it's relatable. So you need to have that data at a granular level and then figure out how to relate it.
And, before going into that data and really talking about the AIO
Yeah.
and just, I know I'm kind of off on the
Well, I
questions
have some
here.
more things. So when you
Oh,
finish,
no. Well, it was going to get into a little bit about the website experience, and maybe this kind of gets into what you were going to talk about is how does this change, the sales agent, the human sales agent that's there on the ground, that's now receiving this information, knowing that the way they communicate has changed. They have to not only utilize AI, but they also have to meet the buyer where they're at with
okay.
this new tool. So, I mean, do you see there's even a need for a salesperson?
Well, before I get to that touchy subject,
Yeah, no,
let me
it's
finish the IPA here because other people say, wait a minute, you only got to the IP and there wasn't much
oh,
intellectual property with that. So
oh,
So you have the platform that has the ecosystem, and that
yeah.
ecosystem encompasses interactive content, or personalized content, granular content, whatever you call it. There's the content piece, and then there's the channels. Because if you have great content, but it shows up on a static generic website or our sales center and everything, now it's like watching the greatest Iron Man movie with special effects on a old standard definition TV that has lousy sound and and it's played by DVD or something. It needs to be on an interactive channel, and that channel ideally is built around a web app platform or app
Mm.
platform, because that's how AI really talk to each other in a instant way, in a conversational way, in a real time way. So it needs to be on the right channel. Otherwise, you just want, it's like in the old radio days, you're just not tuned in, and so you're just going to miss whatever's
Okay.
on the other channel, right? So you need to have the right channel, but you need to be across your entire marketing channel, because buyers not only buy multiple sessions, but they're buying across multiple channels. They may come through your website, but then they go to your community sales centers. They want to start where they left off, just like in Netflix. So you don't have interrupted or distorted customer journeys and extra steps. All those channels need to be uh, made AI friendly, I guess you can call it, are connected. And then that's all part of an ecosystem, because now you can follow the entire customer journey from what they clicked on from that content, which channel it was. Did that take them to the next channel? Now I get to your salesperson. So
Yeah.
when,
I mean,
when it
once
gets
once I've done all this kind of
right.
research, I've got my little, my AI buddy giving me all my, fact finding. I've got all my stuff, and now I'm ready to go on site.
So
What?
what's going to be interesting is the salesperson either is going to have a more curated buyer that has figured all this stuff out, saved all their favorites, had a great conversation, answered all those tough questions in a private way with AI, or the questions that they needed help with. So maybe not every salesperson is great at calculating monthly payments on the fly. Maybe it's already able to do that. So it's much more curated. So hopefully those buyers are brought to the seller on a silver platter. It knows what to talk about and what not to talk about. It knows what's the issues, and maybe that's already been addressed. The other side of this is now bringing the salesperson to meet the buyers online, because the one big difference now with conversation channels being at the top, sales is usually where the conversation starts, at least as for serious buyers intelligently. Now the conversation is starting at the top, with AI, and people are starting with conversations. So actually sales is starting to converge with marketing online. If you can't sell me right at the beginning, why you're a great thing, I may never meet with you to talk about how to get this deal done. So sales, in one sense, you need to be part of that conversation. And AI this is where the online sales consultant role, which is really that bridge between, I guess, marketing and sales and online, it may have to take on
Be,
more of a human sales.
I was gonna say, is it gonna be more absorbed into the sales associate, boots on the
Right.
ground?
It could be. Or what's going to also happen is you may also see an evolution of CRMs. CRMs are really built on humans to humans, right? And I call CRMs great follow up. After they've left your site, after they register or whatever, you need to call up within X amount of minutes and make sure you read who they are, what they're about. In AI world, not only is AI having a continuous conversation independent of humans, but the humans should not be doing follow up. They should be doing follow along, because if the AI starts to get stuck or is struggling or something, then maybe the human salesperson or online sales consultant should be right there. I mean, imagine you went to Home Depot and you want to get a sprinkler system, and you go in there and you're saying, what aisles are the pipes and plumbing? Nobody's there to help you. Okay. Just like the current website, you're
Yeah.
on there. You got to go figure out yourself, filter everything. And I don't even know if they even have pipes here, but okay, I found it. It's on aisle 19. Okay. Now I got here. Now, how do I create a sprinkler system? I mean, are you doing it for gardening? Are you doing it for your lawn? And there's nobody there to answer you. So you get frustrated because it's too much risk. And you have no idea. So you drive off the parking lot, and then there's a camera there that says, oh, there's a license plate. And that's Aaron. Hey, Aaron, I saw that you were just at Home Depot. I'd like to talk to you about it. What were you looking at and everything? That's not the experience that buyers are.
John, where the hell were you? I was here at the aisle, man.
Where were you when I was right there, ready
Yeah.
to buy, and had all these questions? And I could have, we could have talked about a lot of things, and how I'm going to build my beautiful garden, because maybe I would have bought a wheelbarrow, and maybe I bought some seeds, I bought some other things. You lost on all that because I just left frustrated. So AI can help not only have that conversation, but on your interactive website, take you to that aisle. I mean, what happens with a smart browser is the AI assistant is adjoined to your website. So you have a personal shopper with you at all times, asking stupid questions that you don't really want to ask a human, or telling your life situation that you don't really want to explain to every builder you talk to, because the AI is private and remembers you and remembers what you are, and what your situation is. And then when you have a question about a particular community or plan, it takes you right there. So now you can still interact with the website. The website is not obsolete, but it's using AI's eyes to find things, answer questions, but it's letting your human eyes and human hands and human emotion get wrapped up with all the interactive experiences and virtual tours and pricing and matching different designs and all these kind of things. And then it comes back there. Wow, I love that. Can I afford it? And is it a good time to buy? And what if my in-laws stay with me? Is there room there? Now you can ask those questions with almost like your online real estate agent.
Yeah.
Who's also your attorney, who's also your accountant, who's also your friend.
It's
24/7. I just think it's going to be this hybrid experience. And at some point here, I do think it's going to be human to human, because it's such an important, complex process. And it's very, I do believe you need a human touch. But if
yeah.
you don't get involved in working with AI, you're going to be out of touch.
Well, and I think, and maybe we're in the same boat here. I still think at the end of the line, it's going to be humans to humans in the relationship,
Yes.
and getting the
How
contract.
do you get to humans again?
Yeah, but rather than the human guiding along up to this point, now it's the AI, and the human's there for the last 10%. But
It's
that
the same
10% got
argument.
to be
It's the
knocked it out of
same
the park.
argument it had back in 2003 or 4, whenever internet came out, and they said, "Hey, we just need billboards and we need newspapers because we want that human to human content. We don't need this thing, the internet, because nobody's going to want to go on the internet and just like type in things and go search on their own. They're going to need my help and everything." Yeah, that argument worked for about 4 or 5 years. Then everybody got a website. Well,
Yeah.
now it's the same thing again, but now it's smarter. Whatever the argument against the internet was, I think it's harder and harder to make that argument now in a smarter and smarter, more richer interface way,
Yeah.
because it's multimodal, multilingual, multi-session, multi-channel. I, I mean, it's
Well,
superhuman.
I mean, that kind of gets into this new discipline, or as people have been using as the buzzword, but AIO or
Right,
AEI, which, you're optimizing your website, you're optimizing your content. Like we
right. Let's
talked
get back
about
to
it.
that question that you had. Yeah.
Well, but at the same time, too, for me, sometimes when we talk about, oh, you got to have the right content, it has to be indexed correctly, you have to have meta tags. This is just basic SEO. This is SEO 101. So, one, how do you define this AIO? And then how does this differ from traditional SEO practices?
I think on top of all the tagging and all that stuff, which I guess it's great that we've had 20 years of experience with SEO. so, so at least some of that is there.
Yeah.
I also think because because AI, large language models, LLMs, have already gone and interviewed or assessed every website, every builder, all your competitors out there. It kind of knows beyond what you say of yourself, are you really that great? Because it uses, and you may understand, EEAT, which is still carryover from Google. EEAT stands for, are you an expert? Are you, you have experience? Are you an authority? Are you trustworthy? Now, if you only say that on your own site and bragging about yourself, it's not going to be as meaningful as if Reddit says that, Wikipedia says that, your competitors say that, your home builder associates say that, your customers say that, and social media says that. So, in a sense, it needs to be affirmed that you are as good as you say you are. And then when it goes there, the buyers, it's going to track the engagement, but it's not going to just track on just traffic. It's going to track because it sees conversations. Was Aaron's AI, I mean, was Aaron's experience there great because he was saying, "Oh, I love this. And you were able to answer the questions that the user is looking for." Because if it looks in your content and scraping your website and you're just giving the same generic um, messaging and content as they can find on Zillow, or I don't want to pick on Zillow, but anybody
Yeah. Yeah.
anywhere else, you're nothing special.
Well,
And
and
you
I,
can end up in the three recommendations in that conversation. It's one thing to end up in the top 100 or the top 10. To end up in the top three as a recommendation, like a
mm,
referral from a friend, you're going to have to really up your game with content.
well, and to that, where would you find the most bang for the buck? If those that are listening saying, okay, I got I got to invest in SEO after, everyone in the marketing world has been beating you over the head saying you got to do SEO, SEO. Well, that's the long game. I just need to get leads in and sell. Well,
Well,
now with AI, hey, guess what? I need to have content pieces that answer questions that then could be crawled. What would you recommend? Like, what's the most bang for the buck? If you're planning for 2026, saying, okay, I need to make small gains,
yeah.
where would
Now,
you put those?
to be quite honest, honestly, if I knew the answer to that, I would be making a ton of money on Wall Street. But what you can do, because I don't know what the LLMs, and there's so many of them now. It's no longer just Google, so you can't just play to Google anymore. You
Mm,
have to play to all of them. So I don't know all their business models. I think there will be an advertising element that comes in there. Perplexity is starting to do that. So that will drive when they start to say, this is what you will pay for advertising. That will drive what you need to do, because it's going to say, I need you to create this kind of thumbnail with this kind of description and these kind of links and everything. So in one sense, they're going to develop that protocol once they develop the advertising model. Because I don't have because you can't buy your way to the top anymore. I don't know what that is. The only thing you can do is look as good as you can and be as pervasive everywhere as you can for right now. And so how do you spend money on that? I don't know. It's kind of like roll up your sleeves and just, kind of be everywhere and be good everywhere and be ready when you're called for the audition, in a sense.
yeah.
Now, if you go beyond advertising, I think long term, what they're going to do is probably is with agentic AI to be part of that customer journey. They probably will go to a pay for performance model. Advertising, you're just throwing it out there because it's supposed to be intelligent and it's supposed to be a trusted shopper on behalf of the buyer. It's not going to just go to anybody that's going to pay me to say, hey, go to this place because I'm great.
Yeah.
Because the user is paying a subscription for that service. They're paying for a concierge service. They're
Yeah.
paying for Uber. You better give me the right driver and the right ride. So they can't just like play total dumb
Yeah.
advertising. So the way you mitigate that is you pay them for performance. So in a sense, when the AI does a great job of bringing that lead to you and they registered or they scheduled a tour or they saved a favorite or whatever your goal is, then you pay the AI assistant $10, $100 or whatever for the value of
So
what
we're going
that's.
to a CPA model, cost per
Yeah.
Asiatic
Right. You
interaction.
actually have performance. So in one sense, as a seller, you're not wasting your money on shotgun advertising. You're getting very curated leads and you're only getting what you paid for in a sense. And then the long-term thing is probably to get to some kind of transactional commission model where it's already happened on the App Store. It's happened with Amazon. They got you to actually buy that product from that conversational shopping, which, like you said, with Stripe and now they have their own DocuSign in a sense. They were able to do that. They got you to buy the whole Italian vacation.
Yeah.
So
They want a
yeah,
piece of that cannoli sale.
yeah, exactly. So you pay them 5%, just like you would pay a travel agent or whatever. It's almost going to become like your real estate agent in a sense, but it's going to do it at a massive scale in its own way because unlike humans, which are limited by their knowledge, their style, their training, AI knows that, hey, for Aaron, I'm going to sell it this way because he loves sports. To John, because he's focused on education. We're going to pull him to this school system because he's more. And so, in one sense, AI knows best because it knows it all. And I just think that's how as much as we're focusing on how do we buy our way in, I don't think we buy our way in anymore. Actually, if you have to pay to get traffic, you're probably not that great of a place. The traffic should flow to you because everybody's referring to you, humans and.
Well, it gets back.
AI.
It get back to your point about data. Getting your data and setting the infrastructure in place.
Right. You need to at least be crawlable, searchable, scrapable. I mean, those all sound kind of like bad terms, but if your data cannot be searched, which SEO is addressing that, then you won't even show up on a Google search. That's already bad. You're probably already out of business. So the other one now, was your data scrapable? Because scrapable is what GPT does. It actually scrapes the data, it learns from it and says, hey, this is a good restaurant. They have some great recipes here. They have a lot of engagement. There's a lot of, if you want to talk about those other things on your website, they have a great FAQ. They answer a lot of questions, not just about their product. They're actually talking about their service. They're talking about, all the particular issues that people, they're very, very upfront. They're saying, hey, you have issues with this, this is how we would handle it. And this is what we've been known for or whatever. So FAQs, the way you actually segment your sections, like with headers. So like, what's on your H2s, because that description right there may say, hey, you're great about warranties or whatever.
But see, this gets me back to it's just basic SEO.
It kind of is. It's basic
Yeah.
SEO, but at the same time, it cannot just be SEO about your website right now. And so I'm not poo-pooing SEO at all, but I'm saying SEO is all driving to your website. It needs to be concurrent or it concurs with other sites that reinforce what you're saying.
So definitely you're seeing that the need to gain that authority across, not just in your own website, but,
yes, in other places,
ancillaries.
Yeah. So, I mean, social media is obviously one aspect of it, especially if you're like a restaurant or consumer product, you're going to have a lot of comments there.
And the AI is going to look at your Facebook and say like, hey, I haven't seen a post done in a year here. I don't even know if they're open for business.
Even at the end of the day, even as humans are products. So if you're LinkedIn, you don't have a lot of people that like you or comment on you, or you don't post anything, they're gonna say that guy's irrelevant. He's not a thought leader. He's actually a person they distrust. Everybody disagrees with him. So it's reading all that stuff because it's not humanly possible for us, but we're gonna rely on AI to do that shopping and that
Right.
evaluation, that vetting for us.
No, I mean, do you see any other do you see any other tactics that we should employ or currently integrate into our programming, our marketing and sales program that will enhance that AIO or that AI capture?
I think also because AI works multimodally, a lot of your content cannot just be, like you said earlier, static and all that, but it also needs to, you may need a personalized messaging and personalized content where there's visual, like, different images of different lifestyles that may be attractive to your community, different messaging, whether it's different lifestyle, culture, or um, scenes that it can draw from. Because depending on who their client is, it may pull this piece of content from this part of your library in your backend CMS. There's a lot of stuff that you can actually appeal to AI in their crawls and scrapes that's not visually in the front on your website. So it's pulling from the tags, it's pulling from potentially a library of stuff, and then it serves that up to the right customer at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think right now we have created things for our general audience. We're all rated G.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, there needs to be a PG version and an R version in a sense, so that actually relates to different audiences.
Well, and to that point too, I was having an in-depth conversation with the guys over at realtor.com, as well as Zillow as well, where I mean, they're recommending, hey, not only with AI and everything going on, you need to at least have 20 pictures on your
Right,
listing. You can't just rely on two. And then you can't just be, you know, this is a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2 car garage, 2,300 square feet with on a 40
right,
foot. Like that, I mean, that gives you good information. But, what we're seeing too, especially as we're adding more descriptions to floor plans to capture these AI interactions is, like you said, I think earlier, you have to kind of talk about, you know, this is the house, and you kind of have to envision, you have the ability to convert the garage into a mother-in-law suite that's great for extended families, or if you have any certain type of lifestyle, children coming back, living under the home, or having to take care of a relative. So
right.
being able to paint those stories and really kind of elongate, to not just here's the
Yeah,
information.
so the days of just having keywords, which are still essential, I think they're still the basic ingredients like 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, things like that. Some of those other terms, phrases, descriptions, I think those need to be woven in through there because we've created an AI assistant for builders. And so it goes onto their website. But in addition to having like buttons and links in the conversation channel that kind of guide you through a path, because some buyers don't know where to start, they can still have an open-ended question, just like they have on ChatGPT at the bottom, and just say, "Hey, yeah, my in-laws may be staying with me. Do you have anything for in-law suite?" So if you don't have in-law suite spelled out in a sense, it
You're
will
going to
not.
miss out.
Right.
And
Exactly.
it's almost as if you have to play this balancing act where you have to, because you don't want to just put keywords and you're just listing out, oh,
Yeah, you
mother
don't want to just
suite,
have a
lifestyle.
whole
Yeah,
list.
yeah.
Right, but it needs to be searchable and findable on the back end because the AI is not necessarily going to go read every one of your floor plans to see in every one of your options listing to see that. So if it's something um that appeals to a certain audience, they're probably going to ask it in an open-ended way. They're probably not going to go hunt and peck through every floor plan to see if they can find it.
John, there's a lot to chew on here. I know we're kind of wrapping up towards the end of our segment,
Yeah.
and I know we'll probably have a lot more because I guarantee by the time this episode comes out, more will come out on AI. And then if
Yeah,
we
and I
talk
actually
again,
have stuff to show. Yeah, people are, or the last piece of that IPA,
yeah,
anybody sticking around long enough, is the A part, which is the applications. Doesn't matter if you have all this data. Doesn't matter if you have this infrastructure, but if you don't have an application to actually benefit from it, um, and that application may be like an AI sales assistant, then you lose control, because I would say that the LLMs, they have their own application, they have their own business model, and they're going to keep all that data to themselves. So you all know what's going on. So the way I see it happening, just like in the real world, in this customer journey, because it's so complex and so risky, their buyers are going to have an AI buyer's agent. And that buyer's agent is probably going to be from the large language model, because they're comfortable with LLM, I mean, with their ChatGPT, their Gemini, their Claude, because they know so much about them. They've been using it every day. And so that is going to be like the buyer's agent that comes to the builder. They're going to talk about all the different products out there, not just your product. But when it gets to your store, you don't want to leave it up to Perplexity to say, hey, yeah, that's a nice community, but Pulte's much better across the street. They got
Yeah,
a
yeah,
better deal. You still want to sell your proposition and your brand and in the way you want to do it with your goals, and you want to keep your proprietary information to yourself. You want to keep all the data journeys, customer journey data to yourself. So you're going to need to have an AI sales assistant. So the days of you just having a general store that's unmanned or unattended, let's put it that way,
yeah.
that's unattended is not going to be good for you, because you're leaving it up to the LLM
To
to
define you.
diagnose. Yeah. And the other
Yeah,
thing I wanted to say too is, because it's more than just a Google AI now, or Gemini, you should probably go to each AI and ask it questions. Mirror, mirror on the wall, am I the greatest builder of them all, or whatever? And you'll probably get different answers from Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, because they've all evaluated you differently, and they've all evaluated you in different times. So sometimes I go in there and I ask, when is the last time you scraped my website? Oh, it was August 2024. Okay, well, you haven't seen me lately. So let me tell you some things in a sense. And the other reason I think we want to have, you also want to have an AI assistant. And this is one of the reasons we're building for our builders, is because I still have to use ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. I have to kind of bite the hand that use the hand, bite the hand that
yeah.
maybe feeds me or kills me. Um, I actually have a connection with ChatGPT, because I'm using ChatGPT to learn about my website or my builder's website. And in one sense, I kind of got a backstage pass with them, as opposed to them waiting for them to make that pass once a year
Hmm.
and maybe pass me by. Because the bad thing about the GPT approach, they went out there and searched millions of websites. You only have one chance to make a good first impression on them a year ago or 2 years ago. And you didn't even know that you were auditioning. A lot of people tell you, "Oh, I have an AI friendly website." Yeah, the I saw my AI show my website on the results. I said, "Yeah, but everybody has an AI friendly website. You didn't do anything special. It just crawled your site, but you don't know if you're more special than the one next to you, because unless you search that topic and see who else showed up in the conversation, just because you were found doesn't mean you're going to be referred."
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's an excellent way for just doing market research.
Yeah, and
Type,
and don't just say, "Tell me about ABC Builder," which is yourself. Tell me about, hey, I have in-laws that are moving in, but I still have kids. I need a great school system, and I have this pressure. And describe a normal buying scenario and see if you show up in that conversation.
yeah.
You will show up somewhere, but it may not be
Well, and then to that point,
first or
then
an audience.
if your competitor does show up for that,
Right,
okay, do your
right.
competitor analysis. What are
Yes,
they doing? What kind of content do they have? Get to your marketing team and say, hey, we need this same content if we're going to be matching to that
right.
level.
Yeah, and then once you find out where your shortcomings are, then you may need to add that into your website content, or you need it if you can't if you can't get AI to scrape you soon enough because you're not that attractive or not that popular, you may need to put that into a place where it does search regularly, because it does have licensing agreements with Wikipedia and Reddit, and there's a host of other ones where it's already um, has vetted that is a good source in one sense, but it also has data agreements with them to pull that information. So
Well, as we're wrapping up, what's new with the Nugo? Well, I mean, we talked about out of the IPAs, you had application. Well, I mean, what's cooking
Well,
back there? What
actually,
what can you kind of give the audience as a
well,
you know?
because I'm building, we build our ecosystem. So we have interactive content, interactive channels, and our whole guiding principle is to enable buyers to be able to find, design, experience, and buy new homes online. But now with AI, we want them to collaboratively and intelligently find, design, experience, and buy new homes online. And so in doing so, we're creating AI assistants for both the buyer side and the seller side. On the seller side, we're creating web apps that go onto your websites because builders don't have native apps that go onto the Apple Store. So we still need to have that version for people shopping websites. And then on the sell side, I mean on the buyer side, we are working with OpenAI. Just opened up their apps operating system to approved. We still have to get approved, like Zillow has already been, to be able to provide, say, new home listings and new home content. Obviously, the big differentiator for us is because we do have a lot of builders and a lot of their content, because AI wants to make sure that these are legit things. It's not
Yeah,
just like Barbie houses or whatever. So it needs to show that, hey, it's real stuff. It's up to date stuff. It's a rich experience, something different than just general listings. They're looking really for that rich experience that they can now put into that conversation channel. So we're kind of working on both sides. I want to say we're like a virtual brokerage, but in one sense, we know we know how people are shopping because we're on the buyer side. We know what the builders are selling and how they should sell. So hopefully we end up being kind of like a Uber where we're matching, buyers and sellers, or riders and drivers. And in that venue there, I hope it can be a clean handoff if we're using ChatGPT on the buyer side to hand off to the sales agent on the website side. Now, how is that going to work for the sellers and the builders? Because AI sales agents are really like their online 24/7 employees. You
yeah.
wouldn't just pull somebody off the street and say, hey, start selling my homes. So what I've created myself is a separate company, is a company called Foray. So it's my new foray into a AI new homes training academy. So you can train your AIs personally for your product and your brand, your business. And so if you go to forai.ai, and the four is like the Fantastic Four,
Mhm.
FOUR, and then AI because AI, and then .ai. It's kind of like the Fantastic Four in that there's actually four AIs. I don't want to just use one AI because it's a little biased. It's not smart enough. So I actually have Perplexity, Claude, Gemini, and ChatGPT. And those four AIs work together in one builder's AI assistant voice. You can name it whatever you want. Some people name we already have Maya. We have, well, I won't give you all their names yet, but everybody has their own persona, represents their brand, their audience, or whatever. And then their AI is trained on basic training, just like if you went to the army or you got your just your bachelor's degree. This is new construction because AI does not know new construction on its own. It's never been trained. It's just scrape websites, and builder websites are not the best place to get training.
Yeah.
So it's all generic and it's all static, everything. So we train it on all the new construction terms so we can translate builder speak, which are all the CAD files, construction jargon, real estate jargon, to buyer speak, which doesn't understand all those jargon and all those terms because they don't buy new homes all the time, but they know what they like when they see it. So they speak visually. So
Yeah.
what happens is using generative AI and our real-time rendering engine, it changes all those CAD files into a beautiful 3D model home, and with you can go in color design, and as you change all your options and colors, it now translate back to builder speak. Hey, build this. So it's doing that all in real time to get that interactive experience. And now you throw an AI intelligent assistant with you to teach you all about new home financing, construction terms, and what are the trends, and all those other things that's important to making that risky purchase less risky. And we're putting that all onto your website. So all your museum, unmanned, unattended websites suddenly become smart. And so that's what we're doing. And the Foray Academy is where you get those basic training. AI already, they already got their degree in new home real estate or new home marketing, but now you can get a PhD or a master's degree by training it your own unique protocols and styles and processes. So that's what
That's
it's
that's
built.
a
So
disruptor right there.
yeah, I mean, I hope it's not necessarily disrupting, because I always get this human element, right? So I'm hoping that it allows the salespeople and the marketing people
Well,
to have superpowers to do more and
yeah,
service
and
more in a better
enhance. I
way.
guess that would be the
Yes,
best one.
enhance. Yeah.
It may be a better term to say it's disrupting the paradigm and how we approach the
Yes, the
position, and that
traditional
is
process.
which
Yeah.
and I think maybe we're in the same boat of AI. If you're going into AI, and this is my pearls of wisdom for those that are still listening with us is if you're going into your AI project of this is going to replace people, I think you're gonna fall flat on your
Mhm.
ass, if you want me to be honest. I think if you're finding ways, like you said, understand your workflow, document, really provide that application. Where does it apply to me and make sense? And then make those incremental gains. It'll enhance not only the human component as well as productivity, rather than
Yeah, I
trying to say,
agree. I'm not trying to build this to cut heads. I'm creating this to help you get ahead. So hopefully you can better service your customers, because the one thing holistically in the new home industry, you know, 2/3 of people want to buy new homes. Only like 10-15% historically. And now because of the lack of inventory, they're getting a little bump. But 10-15% actually end up buying new homes. That's like an 85% failure rate. I mean, anything else in life, you
yeah,
you should just get out of it. But because everybody in this industry has the same score, they're grading on a curve. It's okay. But now imagine you can improve the ratio of buying new to used, because the new home shopping journey isn't so arduous, painful, risky, long and step by step. And you know, if you can give them more power, more transparency, more convenience, answer a lot of those trivial, mundane questions or whatever, in a sense, it frees you up to just make it happen.
mm,
I'm bought in. I want to buy here. Just, you actually go from being a salesperson to a delivery person. We're not delivering to your house. We're delivering your house.
it's a brave new world. I'm
And
excited.
it's going to be, for those that are fearless, I think it's going to be a huge opportunity, because, like many people have said, it's not AI that's going to take your job. It's somebody that knows AI that's going to take your job.
Yeah,
So right now, we're all at the same starting gate. I mean, I just finished the I and the P part, the infrastructure and the platform. We haven't really introduced the application. I think those that are willing to apply um, these applications will have a leg up. It's like adding turbocharge to your engine or something.
yeah. I mean, just with any technology, being the typewriter, you
Right,
know,
exactly.
it was able to do it than the handwritten. The computer allowed you to do it faster than typewriter. So this is just a continuation.
It's a
And those that
continuation.
adopt, and find, I think, responsible application is definitely going to be ahead of the curve.
And we're also going to introduce a new CRM piece. It's not eliminating the old CRMs or traditional CRMs, but because there may be a situation where it's not just human to human, but it's now human to AI, and then potentially AI to AI. Um, your salesperson is probably not going to talk to an AI buyer's agent, because they can barely keep up with a human buyer. So we're actually to create this AI assistant, because the builders are going to want to monitor those conversations. You're not just going to say, "Oh, I graduate from 4A Academy. We're going to sell a lot of houses." No, I still got to make sure Sophie here is saying the right things, is not cursing him out or whatever. We don't want to hallucinate. So we built the CRM that monitors the conversation. So you see the transcripts of what everything has happened. But then the AI is also kind of grading its own work. So every shopper comes in there on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely or how serious are their good, bad, and ugly leads. But then it also says, hey, I should improve on this. Next time they come back, I should mention that home site that's on sale or whatever. And so as as an OSC, online sales consultant, or sales manager, you can see if your army of AI is doing a good job, because that CRM data will now be passed over to your regular CRM, because we're adding some connections, API connections there that now you can use that information to supplement with all the other conversations all the other CRM channels that you have to say, hey, okay, they're ready for a phone call. Did they make did the phone call work? We invited them in. Did they actually come in?
Yeah.
But it's going to be probably starting from a conversation that they're having with their chat GPT, maybe 3-4 months before you even see them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's no longer footprints from Google. You don't even know who they are. You know who they are. You know what they said. So you should respond to them, not have them try to respond to you.
Definitely the paradigm is shifting, and
It's gonna be fun. We should check in every quarter or something.
that's where I'm at thinking, because I think we got plenty to talk about. I definitely want to hear more, because the conversational AI and what you're introducing is, I think, like I said, at the top. That's where it's all kind of going towards.
Yep.
So I always like to end with, you as our guest. What advice would you have for young professionals or those that are looking to shift over into this industry, especially with the introduction of AI? What advice would you give?
For a young professional coming into this industry, I think, and it's gonna be hard. I hate to say something that's gonna be probably hard to do, but it'd be great to find somebody that has not just the experience and the vision of where this could go, because you don't want to just learn the old. You want to see where. That's the interesting thing about Anewgo. There's 2 words in there: ago and new. You do need to appreciate and learn those principles and from someone that's had that experience. But you also have to be, I think, in this day and age, very agile, adaptive, flexible, pivot. So that new part, if you're not the type of person that's willing to change, I don't think this industry, maybe 10 years ago, is like this, but this industry now is not something you can just kind of ride out. I
Yeah.
think it's in a very tumultuous, in a good way, change. I've seen more change happen with technology in the last 3 years than I saw in the previous 15. Tech is no longer a 4-letter word in this industry. It's now the talk of the town.
Love it. John, if I know, I love it. If you're open
On the
to it,
fly, man. I have no idea what I'm
yeah.
saying.
No, mic drop. I'm gonna say, if you're able to join us at the turn of the year, I'd love to have you back on, and we can kind of plan out for what to expect with our audience for 2026.
Yeah, I love to, man. I love talking this stuff. And if you can just kind of edit it and make it sound a little
No,
bit
no,
more
no.
succinct.
Listen, if it
But
wasn't
at
you,
least you got my passion. My
no, no,
passion
yeah,
there.
I know. If it wasn't you, I'd be talking to my wife or my dog, and my dog doesn't understand me. My wife rolls her eyes, so this is more of an entertainment for me, and for
No,
those
I
that are
appreciate the opportunity. I'm glad you understand, because there are some people that I talk to on podcasts and they're just looking at me. They don't even know what the next question to ask. And they don't want to say repeat because that sounds bad.
it's that's what I love. There's such a vibrant and diverse cross section of disciplines that are coming together at this point, especially this industry.
It's a perfect storm. I didn't
I
want to
love,
kind of say that, but it kind of is,
yeah,
man. There's a lot
and
of
I
things
think if you come
coming
from an
together.
educational and more of a discovery aspect, this is a wild ride and it's fun.
It is. That's why I think it's very, we're talking about somebody new coming in there. This is a very exciting time, but it's not something you can just like coast into. This is, if you can grab the bull by the horn, man, it's going to be a wild ride, but you're going to control the herd.
I love it.
I honestly believe it. I believe it, man. It's
Well, John, I
game changer.
want to say thank you again. And for those that are listening, thank you for, you know, sharing your time. And I look forward to spending more and talking about AI.
Okay. Thanks again for your time.